Welcome to Mershman Seeds Cup of Joe. On this episode, Ben talks about the recent exciting Enlist E3 announcement. Crop insurance planting dates have been released. Check out the map. Hear about the latest USDA report, how it affects the markets, and how we set our soybean price at Mershman Seeds. Thanks for tuning in to Mershman Seeds Cup of Joe.
Hi, this is Joe Mershman. Welcome to Mershman Seeds Cup of Joe. Today, as usual, we got our regulars here. We got Turk and Ben and lots of things going on this week. We'll start with Ben first.
We had some good news that a prophecy, I guess as you could say, came true. One of our Corteva lead accounts told us that in the month of March, we were hoping to see these counties that had enlist restrictions on them. There's 134 counties that were restricted due to a Endangered Species Act. So Corteva resubmitted papers, actually had papers submitted before they had to make the change, but long story short, those counties, 134 counties in the Midwest came back approved. So that is all of our Nebraska counties. That is the Missouri counties. That stretches over to Minnesota, Ohio. So all of those counties can Minnesota. Yep, all of those counties can now apply Enlist like the rest of the Midwest.
The herbicide Enlist 1 and Enlist Dual is now approved in all Midwest counties with no issue because of the review of the endangered species. So that's good news. That's really good news.
Yep. So we'll be able to move forward with that. I know it kind of scared a lot of people, or at least got a lot of people talking when the Enlist or Corteva sent out the Enlist 1 and the Enlist Duo label, because everybody's kind of wondered what was going on, and that's because of what happened in those 134 counties. So everything's as usual.
Every herbicide is on the queue to be reviewed against the endangered species with dicamba the fourth quarter of this year.
Correct. So you're going to see potentially a lot of changes in the next year and a half. So that was one of the things that's good news coming from this year. I quick looked up soil temperatures. So this is as of Friday. In southern Illinois, we have 48.3 degrees in sod and 42.5 degrees at the 4-inch level on bare soil. So our temperatures, our cool weather that we've been experiencing up here has also translated down there. I was talking to one of our reps, and they were seeing 2 and 4-inch soil temps at max in the middle of the afternoon. They were running in the 60s on Tuesday and Wednesday this week. So we are seeing the regression of soil temps like John Felt was talking about. So that is kind of where we're at. We're going to be waiting on the next warm up, and I think we're going to see that, like what John was saying, in the middle of April, towards that 15th to 20th time frame.
After Easter,
yep.
Yep, which that's kind of a rule of thumb as well. So here in southeast Iowa, we are at 37 degree 4-inch soil temp for an average, and northwest Iowa is at a balmy 32 degrees at 4 inches. So the old saying, in like a lamb, out like a lion, she came true this year. Mm-hmm. So the other thing that I had here is the approved earliest insurance planting dates by county, by state. And we will have Alex throw this up, but essentially this is what qualifies for the replant insurance. So we've kind of talked about that a couple times this week. Turk, why don't you tell me what we were talking about earlier on how that actually affects your crop insurance?
So these planting dates are the earliest that you can plant and still be eligible for crop insurance replant, and it doesn't, if you have a loss, it comes off the other end on your total dollars. So there is a cost if you have a full loss, and every year there's somebody that has losses somewhere. You can actually buy insurance. Some companies offer insurance to go earlier and still be covered under crop insurance. So there's lots of different products out there, but these are basically the earliest for replant. If you plant earlier, you will still have crop insurance, but you may not have replant.
Which is usually in that $20 to $40 a range. I mean, for the farmers that are out there. But
there's a reason why these dates are relevant, and it's through all the history that the crop insurance have collected in local counties and states have found that if you plant earlier than this, your chances of success are reduced. If you plant after these dates, your chances of success are greatly improved.
Exactly. It's a risk reward, and it all ties very, very tightly to what the average frost date is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the key. I think it's with the seed treatments we have now and all the technology we put into our seed, we can get that crop out of the ground, but we can't stop frost. And I've seen so many good stands destroyed by frost, and that's why it's important to hold off a little bit and keep in mind that the Merschman Seeds replant program is tied to those dates. If you plant before those dates, you have no free replant with treated seed.
Mm-hmm.
There's always risk and reward in farming.
Yep.
That's what I had this week.
Well, Turk is kind of a wild market week, but we could say that every week, couldn't we?
It's nothing new. We kind of knew this was going to be a big report. The USDA report come out on Thursday this week, and we kind of knew that was going to be a big day for the markets, and it turned out to be true, a big day. It was a surprise. The corn, the planting intentions reports based on farmers surveyed the first 2 weeks of March, and so the deadline on the 31st was actually a couple weeks behind the survey. So there's been a lot of changes in the market and everything that's happened in the last 2 weeks after that report was taken. But the bottom line is the report is surprised all the trade by having 2.5 million acres less corn being planted and 2 million acres more soybeans being planted. Expected to be planted, according to the survey taken 2 weeks before the end of the month. And so my prediction is that these are probably the highest and lowest numbers you're going to see. And we know farmers can make adjustments at the last minute. We've been talking about farmers all have a few flex acres that they can move around. And so kind of goes back to what we were saying before. Can I get fertilizer, and how much is it going to cost? Can I get the chemicals that I need to do these last 10 acres to do what I want? That's going to be what every fertilizer company is asking, farmers are asking that have those acres available to flex. But if you look at the numbers, if you can get the product, corn still has a pretty good return on investment over soybeans. So that's why I think the numbers are going to switch a little bit if the product's available. So these numbers are really in the market now, and we'll continue to trade them for a little bit, but it's still going to turn around to be looking at what did the weather do, what did the rainfall do, and we have not had significant rains to make any big change in the drought forecast. The western half of the corn and soybean growing areas are still very, very dry and are not getting rain to change that outlook. And so we're down the road, we're still going to see issues where we're going to question whether or not we're going to get those big yields that they're talking about in this report. So I think there's still going to be opportunities. Will we see a setback? We are seeing a setback. I think beets go down another $1 yet from where we are today. But it just remains to be seen how far we're going to go in either direction. They can't spread. Corn can't go up and beans go down every day because they have to kind of chase one another for that market. So
yeah. So right now they're market signaling they want a little more corn acres, a little less bean acres, mm-hmm. and then that kind of goes away once they kind of see what's going to get actually planted. So
I don't think there's any reason for anybody to do anything other than, we've been saying this, if you've got old crop corn in the bin, take advantage of this opportunity that you're being given to get rid of that stuff, because these are really, really profitable prices.
Yeah, you always have to ask yourself, what's the probability of it going higher, what's the probability of going lower, and play the odds.
If you get rid of what you got in the old crop, be thinking about some new crop and pricing a little bit of a small percentage of that new crop as well, because again, these prices do not come along very often, and they usually don't stick around forever.
Tough decisions, always tough decisions.
So the other thing that I had, Joe, is the EPA come out this week and asked the Arizona court asked EPA to come up or to disclose their plan for the next 2 years on what they intend to do with dicamba applications and spray. And and they have until May 15th to do that, because the court is of the opinion that the EPA has clearly signaled that there will most likely be additional changes. The court wants to know what those are before they proceed with the case to that they've been asked to consider to completely deregulate
Right.
dicamba.
Yeah.
So
the whole thing stems in a lawsuit that basically says the EPA didn't do their due diligence correctly, or they ignored the data. So the courts are telling the EPA, okay, what are you going to do?
here's your last chance.
We'd like to know. So I think EPA really doesn't want to do anything, and the courts don't want to do anything. Nobody wants to be the bad guy, because I think the evidence is pretty clear that dicamba can't stay home. So who's going to be the bad guy? The courts or the EPA?
And then, like I said, we talked about the endangered species. They still have to consider that too. And if they're looking at that at all, dicamba's got problems in that arena as well.
So May 15th, we may see the direction of where this is going to go.
By May 15th, the court has
for the next year and a half or so.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, if I was a farmer, I'd really like to know a year ahead of time what's going to happen so I can make plans.
Well, again, we know what they did in South America, that Bayer voluntarily withdrew the post-application of dicamba in South America.
Yep, pre-only. So,
Pre-only, yep.
That could be the case here in the United States too. But when and if?
Could be. Don't know.
We don't know. My little thing here this week is I saw a farmer blog, and it kind of surprised me. A farmer says, "I can't believe the seed companies are missing this opportunity to raise prices." And I kind of, whoa. He said, "Well, fertilizer prices are, they're double, and chemical prices double, triple. I mean, everything's just crazy. But seed prices, for the most part, have really not gone up that much for this crop year." And so I thought, I'd just explain how we set our pricing, the industry. Basically, we set it the year before. In other words, for us, we have our production costs, and then we have our seed treatment input costs. We have our bags, pallets, and then we estimate freight. Obviously, we underestimated freight this year, and we set a set price. So basically, current costs predict next year's prices. So we do our hedge, for example. We buy the beans on the board, and obviously we're trying to buy at the low. Farmers trying to buy at the high, and so we can be as competitive as possible. So I guess that's why you see seed prices very, very minimal up. But with inflation now, I mean, everything that we're buying is higher. Or, pallets are higher, paper bags are higher, bulk bags are higher, boxes are higher. Boxes are all tied to energy costs. Transportation, freight is a big thing in seed. Got incoming and outgoing. It's one of the major costs in seed. And then there's also, we're getting signals from the trait suppliers that they're raising the costs of the traits, the trait fees. So in general, there will be higher seed prices next year, but they're not going to be anything like chemicals and fertilizer. You're not going to see a doubling or anything like that, but you're going to see them higher. But one of the reasons why is because we grow it here in the United States. We don't rely too much on anything outside this country. So we have a little bit more control, and that's one of the reasons why you're going to see. The only thing that's a little bit out of our control is seed treatment costs, because a lot of the ingredients are made in China or India, but we've secured where we're at, and we're moving forward. So we're locking down as many prices as we can to keep things as low as possible, and increase that we have to make for next year with costs. So, but again, cost of goods is a big thing. We're going to be paying a lot more for beans from our growers than we did last year.
Once we set our hedge, that protects us from that. And our growers are always going to want the current market price wherever it is.
So it's been, going the last 3 years, our hedge has gone up every year for the last 3 years. So again, that's the cost that goes into it. So just to explain a little bit about how seed companies set their prices, but in general, we will be affected, which unfortunately passes down to the farmer. So then you have to be, again, more efficient. Obviously we've been telling farmers for years to cut back on your seeding rates, and particularly on soybeans, not necessarily on corn, but on soybeans. So we'll give you all the advice that we can, and again, next year we anticipate, well, we know for a fact that we're going to improve our seed treatment for next year, which will also improve the output, the yield, and protection that we're going to have on our seed. So we'll continue to make our products better, and Ben's got a new lineup of new 23 series products, soybeans, and we've talked a little bit about them but in the past, but we continue to move forward and create more value. So I just remember this from the folks in Fort Madison. They printed a lot of the Burger King wrappers and the McDonald's wrappers, what go around the sandwiches. And I remember talking to the folks that worked with those big companies. They said the big companies always came in and said improve the quality or lower the price. And I always take that attitude with Mershman Seeds when we deal with our farmers. So we'll continue to improve our quality and so that we can give you more value. So that's a little bit about seed prices. So that brings us to the corny jokes. Now, I'm in a big hurry to get to Easter, so I'm going to start telling some Easter jokes right now, okay? All right. So I got a couple of them. We'll see what you think. How does the Easter bunny keep his fur clean? He uses a hairbrush. Okay.
A hairbrush.
A hairbrush. Now, this one here, I think, is going to be a winner. I've been trying really hard to get one, for the last few weeks. Why did the Easter egg hide? Why did the Easter egg hide? He was a little chicken.
I see.
That's pretty good, I think. Well, they always say it's in the beholder is the one that decides, not necessarily the jokester. So, a little chicken, think about it, okay? The whole process, chicken and the egg.
A little premature there, Joe.
Okay. Anyhow, thanks for watching this week. We hope you and your family are healthy and safe, and we sincerely appreciate your business. And we hope that won't be long. We'll be in the field, and we'll see you next week.